You know, on the one hand, being American is great. You know, we have good food, and I have shoes, and my biggest problem every day is like, what am I going to eat today? Not if I'm going to eat. You know, amongst the almost unlimited array of opportunities, you know, what am I going to do? And life is quite good, and yet I think an argument can be made and has been made that we are at the vanguard of advocating the most potentially destructive way to live that can be imagined. And I mean that in two ways. One is just psychological, and that is that we are a culture that happens to value things that are not realistically attainable for the average person. And in so doing, render self-esteem impossible to acquire for too many of our citizens. And so one of my main concerns, and it's really one that goes back, it's not original, Becker had it, and folks before him had it, and that is that despite the great material benefits that a capital-based economy affords us, and that none of us should be hesitant to recognize or appreciate, that the psychological costs are immensely high. Because when the goal is unlimited wealth, then if you think about it for a moment, no one can ever be successful in that regard. So our standards are unattainable. And because we teach our citizens that if you weren't an idiot and if you tried hard enough, you too could be rich and famous. When that turns out not to be the case, the average person blames themselves and suffers the psychic consequences accordingly. And so that's, I think, a daunting problem. And I think it's compounded by the fact that in our own history now, we're probably at the first moment where it's not the case that kids are of necessity going to do better than their parents. You know, I think in every generation so far in American history, you can at least be comforted by the fact that wherever your folks got, you were going to get a little better. And I see our kids as really in the psychic ringer because there's rising expectations in a world of diminishing opportunities. And I see a lot of kids as psychic casualties of that rather difficult conundrum. So that's one of my concerns, is just psychologically speaking, we don't have a set of values in place that renders it acceptable to just be a person of integrity. If you're not rich, if you're not famous, if you're not thinner than a piece of linguine and permanently young, then you've got a problem here.